We always start off. And actually, we don't usually start off with the history, do we?
Yeah, where's our map?
We gotta start off. Yeah,
Gotta fly across the water.
we gotta fly there first, right? Okay, so let's fly there. So I'm gonna share my screen again. And this time I'm gonna share, well, heck, I'm gonna share the whole thing. Let's see, hold on. Actually, yeah, okay, I'll just share one at a time. I just don't want to see the trivia questions. All right, so everybody sees where we are now, Office of Department of Aging. So here's a good question. This is a really good question. When we go to Japan, we're gonna take off. We're gonna go to our usual. We're gonna get in the Uber. We're gonna drive to Dulles Airport because most of the airplanes that go to Japan fly out of Dulles Airport. So we're gonna go all the way over to Dulles Airport, and then we're going to well, that's a big airport. By the way, if nobody's been to the Smithsonian over there, that's really good.
I've been in it.
Isn't that good? That's good. That's a good museum. Okay, so my question to you is this: how do we get to Japan? I'm gonna fly out, and you'll see why there's a question about it. I'm gonna zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. Where is Japan on this map?
West.
Yep, way over in the west.
Way over in the west, right.
Yep.
So
I've seen dock that plane and take a ship.
I've seen people fly east and west going to Japan, but most flights do go west. So good job on that, Ron. And so you usually fly way over. There's nonstop flights now to Japan. So you go over Canada, you go over Alaska, you go down the Aleutian Peninsula. They don't want you, they try to be near some civilization if possible. Then you fly over the Bering Strait, the Kamchatka Peninsula, and you come into Japan from the north. So we're gonna go to Japan now, and we're gonna land in Japan. And everybody know the city that you usually land in when you go to Japan?
Korea? No,
Tokyo?
Tokyo, right.
Tokyo.
Yeah. So that's an awful big city, one of the biggest cities in the world. So we're going to go ahead and land in Tokyo. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to start sharing the video screen. So let's learn a little bit about the history.
And welcome to...
Wow, Mr. History-san!
In a second,
This
please.
is Asia, and here's Japan. Sa ikimashou! Shall we? Japan consists of 4 major islands: Hokkaido, Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu. A volcanic quartet, the archaeologists inform us, was first inhabited back in Paleolithic times. The ancient population slowly waded into the long epoch known as the Jomon era, an age of hunting and craftsmanship in clay. Life was rugged and hard. Skeletons from those yonder years reveal widespread malnutrition. I guess it's one thing to have pots, and another thing to have food to put in them. Big changes began in the first millennium BC, with the arrival of the Yayoi people, who brought numerous nifty tricks from mainland Asia, including metalwork and rice farming, and Japan began assuming the garb of a civilization, receiving its earliest mention in 1st century China, whose name for Japan meant dwarf. Not very nice. During the dichotomous Yamato period, Japan started modeling its government and culture more and more after those of China and Korea, and in the 500s, Buddhism was introduced, which was eventually embraced by the royal court. Of course, Japan already had a religion of its own, which it still possesses, called Shinto, an animistic faith, where everything is believed to be indwelt by spirits, who are worshipped at shrines and placated with offerings. Further cultural refinements arose in the Nara period, including the oldest collection of Japanese poetry. There's over 4,000 poems in it, if you want some light reading. China remained the principal source of inspiration for the arts and architecture, as well as politics, and in the 700s an outbreak of smallpox smallpox killed around a third of Japan's populace. The Heian era started in 794 when Emperor Kanmu relocated the capital from Nara to Heian-kyo, which we know as Kyoto. An efflorescence of artistry ensued as the Japanese began to realize they had plenty of creativity themselves and didn't have to look to China for everything. Though I don't think blackened teeth is as attractive as it was apparently thought to be back then. The two most skilled writers at this time were both court ladies, Seisho Nagon and the novelist Murasaki Shikubu, but they were not fond of each other at all. This period also saw the beginning of people who were not the emperor having the actual power. The first in this category were the Fujiwara clan, who cleverly married their daughters into the royal line to maintain their already potent influence. Fujiwara domination had its heyday with Michinaga here calling the shots. The Kamakura period saw the military generals, or shoguns, gaining power after Minamoto no Yoritomo crushed the rival Taira clan in the Genpei War in the 1180s. Thus we enter Japan's feudal age, the time of the samurai, the military elite in the employ of the landowning lords, the daimyo. After the shoguns of the Hojo clan took power, Japan was threatened by the Mongols, who invaded in 1274. It could have been disastrous, but a fortuitous typhoon destroyed the Mongol fleet and their invasion failed. A few years later, the Mongols tried again. It could have been disastrous, but a fortuitous typhoon destroyed the Mongol fleet and their invasion failed. That's right, it happened twice, and it's no surprise why the Japanese referred to these convenient storms as kamikaze, divine winds. Shipwrecked and stranded survivors were subsequently slaughtered, and Japan was saved. By the 1300s, the emperors seemed to be sick of playing second fiddle to the shoguns, and Go-Daigo here whipped up the Genko War, which ended in victory and saw the emperor back in control. For 3 years, he was overthrown by Shogun Ashikaga Takaoji, and so we entered Japan's Murimachi period. Now when this fellow here died without leaving an heir, there was a quarrel over who would succeed him as Shogun-in-Chief. Now what do you think followed? Some soothing Zen-style reasoning in a garden with green tea? Correct! I mean, not correct. War, of course, always war, lots of war. Over a century of blood-drenched conflict, as rival clan leaders scuffled for dominance of the land. 1543 saw the arrival of Europeans, Portuguese first and Spanish soon after, who brought various curiosities, but the one that caught the eye of the daimyo was the musket. This firearm was quickly adopted and used in war. One of the lords who made use of the new weapon was Oda Nobunaga, a brilliant general who unified much of Japan under his rule, but was betrayed by one of his generals and then committed the ritual suicide considered honorable for warriors, seppuku, in which the belly was sliced open. Nobunaga's mission passed over to Toyotomi Hideyoshi, seen here looking very hexagonal, and who continued the unification by crushing his enemies, though his invasions of Korea were costly and unsuccessful. The third and final of Japan's unifiers was Tokugawa Ieyasu, who rose to power after winning the pivotal battle of Sekigahara in 1600. He solidified his position by the ruthless extermination of his enemies and set up his seat of government in Edo, which is today called Tokyo. You might have heard of it. The era of the Tokugawa shogunate saw Japan recover from the carnage of previous years and adopt a strict isolationist policy, choosing to have almost no contact or relations with the outside world. This span of time is also known as the Edo period and saw a splendid outpouring of artistic excellence, seen for instance in these delicate, finely crafted paintings, and further saw the appearance of kabuki theatre and the geishas with their powdered faces and elegant kimonos. On the whole, Japan was doing pretty well, but then things didn't go pretty well. The 19th century would see Japan thrust into a time of change like never before, and as if to speed the process along, nature began assailing the land at once guarded from the Mongol hordes. A deadly famine was followed by fire and an earthquake up here, followed by a popular revolt. The shogunate was crumbling, and Western powers like Britain and France were upping the pressure on Japan to open itself up to trade. Japan was plucked out of its solitude in the 1850s when Commodore Matthew C. Perry of the US Navy arrived with his black ships and their cannons and forced the country to open its commercial doors in a classic example of what's called gunboat diplomacy, or as the Godfather would say, "I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse." This humiliation made Japan very upset, and it was clear things had to change. Now there had been emperors all through the age of shogun rule. They had just been defanged, but not anymore. In 1867, the young emperor Meiji ascended the throne, and the following year saw the restoration bearing his name that signaled the end of the shogunate and the return of the emperor to power. Meiji enthusiastically encouraged the adoption of Western ways in a remarkable modernization program that saw the nation hungrily absorb European technology, science, medicine, pretty much everything from trains to top hats. All of this newness angered the samurai, who feared becoming obsolete. They gave their last roar in the Satsuma Rebellion, where they were defeated by the Emperor's troops and their updated weaponry. The bullet was mightier than the sword. Few epochs have seen so energetic and effective a transformation. In just 3 decades, industrialized Japan could be numbered among the world powers, and the Japanese were eager that they would be numbered among them. This naturally meant acquiring some colonies, getting more land. After grabbing the Ryukyu Islands, including Okinawa, the Japanese went after China, whose Qing dynasty remained rooted in the past and had stubbornly refused to modernize. In the First Sino-Japanese War, Japan was triumphant and gained lands including Taiwan and the Liaodong Peninsula, while also amping up its presence in Korea. This general contiguity was also threatened by Russian expansion, which Japan didn't want, and after Russia refused to compromise, Japan attacked the Russian Eastern Fleet, instigating the Russo-Japanese War, in which Japan startled the world by emerging victorious. 5 years after this resounding win, Japan officially took control of Korea. During World War I, Japan sided with the Allies, with its eyes firmly fixed on gaining ground in China. A huge earthquake struck in 1923, and the nation became increasingly militaristic and nationalistic, and reeling from the Great Depression and desirous of resources, set out and snatched Manchuria from China in 1931. All-out war between China and Japan erupted once more, a brutal conflict that spilled into the Second World War, in which Japan allied with Hitler's Germany. The Japanese seemed unstoppable in the first portion of the war, conquering a formidable empire whose extent we see here pictured. And while Japan's bombing of the neutral United States' naval base at Pearl Harbor in late 1941 achieved short-term Japanese goals, it also awakened the US war machine that now entered the fray full bore against Japan. And just 6 months later, the Americans won the Battle of Midway, and Japan's military might began to wane. Finally, in 1945, with the Russians hammering at Manchuria's gates and the Americans destroying the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki with their newly invented atomic bombs, Japan surrendered and the war was over. And so soon after was the Japanese Empire. During the American occupation that lasted till 1952, Japan's government was altered to a parliamentary democracy, and the emperor's powers were severely curtailed. While proud Japan had been humbled by defeat, the Japanese rolled up their sleeves and set about rebuilding. And during what's called the Japanese miracle, Japan, maintaining close ties with the US, soon became the second biggest economy in the world, with a booming manufacturing industry and a keen interest in electronics and technological innovation. The extraordinary growth stopped quite suddenly in the 1990s, as the economy entered a recession that saw a time of stagnation termed the Lost Decade. Meanwhile, Japanese popular culture spread worldwide, and young people everywhere were devouring Japanese manga and binge-watching Japanese anime and blistering their thumbs playing Japanese video games. 2011 saw a massive magnitude 9 earthquake strike the coast of northeast Honshu, hammering the Fukushima nuclear power plant and causing a meltdown and radiation leak. A cleanup and system reforms followed, and today Japan remains one of the greatest and richest countries in the world, with the biggest city in the world, a very high level of human development, very high life expectancy and quality of life in general, and the Japanese people have given so much to the world, though they would likely be too polite to boast about it, so I'll do it for them and showcase their marvelous contributions to literature, to science, to cinema, to sport, and to food. That's right, they don't just eat sushi. Anyway, that's it for Japan, and that's all from me for now. Bye-bye!
Great, that was a good one.
Mhm.
Any reflections on that, folks? Any thoughts?
Alex, I like to know, they said the skeletons showed that the people were malnourished. How can you tell from a skeleton?
Teeth, small bones.
Lots of medical training, Brenda. They have,
Mhm.
there's a whole science to all of that stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean,
They
to-
bone growth.
They have
Bone
no
growth.
no meat on their bones.
Their bones are not
well,
even
no, they're a
functioning right.
skeleton already, but they're saying they were malnourished. So
Yes, to the growth of the bones.
They can help with that too.
Yeah, the bones
Research
were
on
not
their
growth
teeth.
of the bones.
That
Okay.
bone
All right.
develop.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Well, we might have to take that one up next time. But that's a good question.
You know what jumps at me, Lou?
it-
What jumps out
Any
at
the minerals?
this Harold. What jumped
Yeah.
out at me was when meaning the moderator, I mean the narrator. When the narrator of these shows talk about other folks' religions, when they're spiritual religions, they always call it animus, meaning from an animal. It's still saying spiritual. If it's a Western religion, they don't say animus, but we always say animus if it's Asia, Africa, long, because it's not the type of God that we know. But it's always animus, A-N-I-M-U-S.
MUS. Mhm.
That's a good, you know, I never really thought of that word or even heard that word until this presentation. That's a really interesting point.
I learned it 45 years ago when they always talked about animus in grad school and animus religion. I'm like, okay, but U.S. and all these Western countries, no animus religion. But it's just something I noticed. It just always jumps out at me.
Yeah, interesting.
Wow.
All right, any other thoughts or comments?
I know I never see a 6-foot Japanese guy.
No what?
Yeah. You know, it is sort of interesting that the history here doesn't seem all that much different than the history in Germany or anywhere else. It's
Not at all. Not
it's
at
like,
all.
you know, same game, just different faces, fighting. Just
Mhm.
crazy. Yeah.
Land.
You can
Owner.
see,
Power.
you can see why Mr. Coffee was so sad last night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's continue on here. I'm going to stop sharing and go on to a different thing. Actually, I don't think I have to stop sharing to do this now. We're going to go into a quick video now. Now that we've learned about the history, let's learn about some of the best places to visit in Japan. And we're going to do this in two pieces. The most popular areas from a tourism perspective, and then Japan is full of these really beautiful spots. So I want to showcase some of those really quaint, beautiful spots that might not be on the top 10 list to visit. So let's just go ahead and jump in there. Everybody see this okay?
Fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Imperial Palace. Boom.
With its enormous cities and towering skyscrapers brightly clad in neon lights, Japan is a fun country to visit, full of history and with a rich cultural heritage. Temples and shrines dot its streets, while world-class restaurants rub shoulders with ancient castles and imperial palaces. And its cities bustle with life and energy. Japan is a warm, welcoming, and endlessly interesting travel destination with something for everyone. Here's a look at the best places to visit in Japan. Number 10. Kanazawa. Located between the wild waters of the Sea of Japan and the towering Japanese Alps, the historic city of Kanazawa boasts a rich history and culture. In the center of the city, you can find a fantastic centuries-old castle, as well as charming and well-preserved samurai and geisha districts. Their narrow alleys are lined by traditional houses, cozy tea shops, and a number of atmospheric temples and shrines. Its most famous attraction is the lovingly landscaped Kenrokuen, which is considered to be one of the most beautiful gardens in Japan. Number 9. Ishigaki. Located west of Okinawa, Ishigaki is Japan's premier beach destination and makes a good base to explore the other islands in the Yaeyama archipelago. Located 1,250 miles south of Tokyo, Ishigaki may not have the shrines and temples that other Japanese cities have, but it does have an exuberant nightlife for visitors who have the energy after a day of beachcombing, diving, or climbing Mount Nosoko. Number 8. Hiroshima. Lying in western Honshu, Hiroshima's history will forever be linked to the atomic bomb which flattened the city on August 6, 1945. Almost completely destroyed, Hiroshima has remarkably been reconstructed and is now a bustling modern city, full of life. While many visitors come to pay their respects at the Peace Memorial Park and visit the chilling A-bomb dome ruins, the city has many other sights. It also serves as a gateway to some beautiful nearby islands, including the famous Miyajima Shrine. Number 7. Kamakura. Set on the scenic shores of Sagami Bay, with forest-coated hills surrounding it, Kamakura is a top-rated destination. As it was once the capital of Japan, the coastal city is home to many important landmarks and a plethora of beautiful temples and shrines. Its defining symbol and most famous site is the Great Buddha of Kamakura, which is almost 44 feet high. Made out of bronze, the mighty figure towers over its surroundings and is one of the city's most famed and photographed attractions. Number 6. Nikko. Located around 2 hours to the north of Tokyo, the small city of Nikko is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the country, and justifiably so. Tucked away among the mountains with forests all around it, Nikko is home to lots of impressive Shinto shrines and Buddhist temples. In addition to its many cultural attractions, Nikko is renowned for its beautiful mountain scenery. The surrounding forests are full of sparkling waterfalls, glimmering lakes, and streaming hot springs for you to explore. Number 5. Takayama. Tucked away among the northern Japanese Alps, the small city of Takayama was, until relatively recently, one of Japan's best-kept secrets. Nowadays, however, its well-preserved quarter full of Edo-era architecture and its wealth of shrines, temples, and other tourist attractions lure more and more visitors every year. Due to its remote location in the mountains, the city has developed its own rich culture. Renowned for its beautiful townscape, Takayama certainly does paint a pretty picture with the peaceful Miyagawa River coursing its way through town. Number 4. Hakone. Boasting beautiful mountain scenery, relaxing hot springs, and a number of world-class art museums, Hakone is one of the most popular tourist destinations in Japan. Located just a short train ride to the southwest of Tokyo, the town lies on the shores of tranquil Lake Ashi. One of the most popular things to do is take a boat ride on one of the pirate ships that sail around the lake. From aboard their decks, you can enjoy breathtaking views of the lake's stunning scenery and majestic Mount Fuji in the distance.
I'm new bacon in the freezer.
Number 3. Nara. Considered to be the birthplace of Japanese civilization, this ancient former capital has a wealth of historic sites for visitors to enjoy. Most of its main attractions can be found in the gorgeous green Nara Park. Also home to the city's multitude of tame deer that amble about asking tourists for food. Here you'll find the multi-storied pagodas and splendid stone lanterns, as well as a couple of lovingly landscaped Japanese gardens. The highlight, however, is Todaiji Temple, with its awe-inspiring architecture and enormous Great Buddha. Number 2. Kyoto. Widely reputed to be the most beautiful city in Japan, Kyoto is a treat to visit. The nation's capital for over 1,000 years, it sports lots of incredible historical sites and cultural landmarks. Dotted around its ancient streets, you'll find wonderful palaces and idyllic gardens, with 2,000 Shinto shrines and Buddhist temples to check out. In addition to this, its historic district of Gion is also well worth exploring. It is here that you can find lots of geishas and traditional inns. While Kyoto is lovely to visit at any time of year, it is particularly magical when the cherry blossoms are in bloom. Number 1. Tokyo. Lying at the center of the world's most populous metropolitan area, Japan's futuristic capital is an exhilarating place to explore. Renowned for its skyscraper-filled skyline and embracing cutting-edge technology, the neon-lit city stretches away endlessly before you. Interspersed amongst its towering blocks are awe-inspiring temples and museums that proudly showcase Japan's rich heritage and history. Whether you're into calligraphy or cherry blossoms and consumer products, Tokyo certainly has something for everyone to enjoy. Creative, innovative, and quirky in equal measure, the massive metropolis is not to be missed out on when in Japan.
Just a minute.
Well, that was pretty good, I thought.
It's so lovely.
Yeah.
Any thoughts or comments on that from the group? Anything that surprised you?
Well, Lou, I was looking at the streets. It's so clean there. You didn't see any dirt or trash anywhere. I mean,
Yeah,
Clean so you ghetto.
very clean.
yeah, I thought the
That's
same
true.
thing. Not one piece of debris or trash.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
that's very true. Very
architecture
true.
is so beautiful. I mean, how do they get the shapes and, get them on the buildings like that? It's really beautiful.
It's
Yeah.
surrounded with a lot of water too. I noticed that.
And they have a lot of parks too.
And the greenery.
Yeah.
The place is so green, naturally green.
I've been there a couple of times, and the thing that struck me the most when you first get there is, your plane is you're flying low altitude as you're going in anywhere, and you look out the window, and the entire country is like a Japanese garden, not just
Yeah.
behind a house I'm talking the entire country.
Yeah.
Every house, every street is manicured. Every garden is part of every house. I mean, it's crazy, and it's just so well taken care of.
I know.
Tokyo looks like New York.
Yeah, but even within Tokyo, you see these natural areas. You remember the videos there?
Yeah.
These beautiful, well-maintained natural areas. The Japanese really, go out of their way to connect nature to how they live. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. Well, I heard that the Japanese believe that going out in nature, in the forest, in the garden, lessens anxiety and makes you feel better. It's good for your mental health.
I think that's so true. That's so true.
It is. It's true.
I like your background too. Looks like you're out there.
Yeah, they're all right.
Thank you.
Lou, some years ago, I used to watch, I believe it was the History Channel, and they were talking about when the U.S. dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. They said that those people that were killed, their shadow was cast in the concrete.
Wow.
So did you ever visit Hiroshima, and was it there? They said it was a park dedicated
Peace
to
Park.
that.
It's a
Yeah, I
peace
never went
park.
to Japan as a tourist. I always went on business, so I never got to go to the tourist spots.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I've heard that's an amazing fact. I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Well, let me jump into another video here real quick. I stopped the sharing, so I'll have to restart it here. Just a moment. So I want to show you a video of some of like the out of the way beautiful spots, and I'm going to skip through this because we don't have time. But let me just start this up.
Welcome back, folks, to a brand new video.
Just a second.
Ask anyone who has visited, and they'll tell you Japan is easily one of the most stunning places in the world. the country offers a full range of nature and culture, from subtropical beaches to snowy mountains, with futuristic skylines to ancient temples. And while you could spend a lifetime exploring all of the country, I've narrowed it down to just a few. So here are 12 beautiful places to visit in Japan. Now before you even watch this video, don't forget to hit that like button, obviously for the YouTube algorithm. Number 1. Arashiyama. One of the most famous and visited landmarks resides just under 30 minutes away from central Kyoto, in Arashiyama, otherwise known as the Bamboo Forest. As one of the most photographed locations in the world, the Bamboo Forest is the epitome of serenity. After a short train ride out to the city and a brief stroll through the touristy shopping district in Arashiyama, a walking trail through the Bamboo Forest is like something out of a fairy tale. The Bamboo Forest can be relaxing and sometimes isolated, especially if you go at the right place. But it can also be extremely crowded, so choose your time wisely. Number 2. Hijemi Castle. This hilltop castle is located in Hyogo Prefecture. The castle complex comprises 83 buildings, and Hijemi Castle is said to be the most pristine example of traditional Japanese castle architecture. The samurai warrior Akumatsu Norimura built the castle in 1333 as a fortress. Several buildings were added as the castle changed hand over many years. So if you're ever traveling from Kyoto to Hiroshima, then this is a must-see along your way. Number 3. Miyako Island. Miyakojima is located 300 kilometers south of Okinawa's main island, and it's known for some of Japan's best beaches and as a great destination for snorkeling and diving in the coral reefs. The subtropical climate provides mild weather all year round. And besides its beaches, snorkeling and diving, Miyako offers a small range of other attractions, including places of natural beauty and cultural interest, and a couple of elegant bridges to neighbouring islands. Number 4. Itsukishima Shrine. Long established as a place of Buddhist and Shinto worship, Itsukishima Shrine was founded in 593. The shrine is a large Shinto structure with a grand vermilion gate standing in the ocean. Spend the whole day on the island to see the Torii Gate in both high and low tides. At high tide, the entire shrine seems to magically float in the water, while at low tide, you can walk all the way up to the gate. It is now known as Miyajima, which literally means Shrine Island. Number 5. Kisu Valley. The Kisu Valley, or Kisuje, is located in the Nagano Prefecture and runs along the mountains of the Central Alps. An ancient 70-kilometer trade route called the Kisuji was developed along the valley and served as a very important means of commerce in the area. The Kisuji became even more important from the beginning of the Edo period, and a few post towns, particularly Magome, Sumego, and Narai,
have been preserved to look as if they did when they served travelers off the Nakasendo meaning path through the mountains. Visitors are able to enjoy the stone paths and wooden buildings of a bygone era. This is one of the best places to catch a glimpse of the Edo period, 1603 to 1868. Number 6. Mount Fuji. Japan's crown jewel and arguably the most beautiful place in the country, Mount Fuji is a must for any visitor. There are plenty of places to see the ground mountain, but the views from the Arikuyama Sengen Park and from the Lake Kawaguchi best capture its beauty. Lake Kawaguchi, one of the 5 Fuji lakes, has glorious views of Mount Fuji, especially in winter when the sky is mostly clear and you can see the volcano's reflection in the water. Number 7. Shirakawa-go. Deep in Gifu Prefecture lies Shirakawa-go, a perfectly preserved Japanese village and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Filled with traditional style farmhouses known for their thatched, triangular roofs that resemble praying hands. Now most of the farmhouses have been converted into museums, restaurants and even hotels. But visitors can still explore the inside of the houses to admire the architecture. Number 8. Hakodate. Recognized as one of Japan's fishing centers, it's no wonder that Japanese people choose to go to Hakodate for a taste of their famous fresh seafood. It is said that many Japanese travelers also note that Hakodate at night is one of the most beautiful views in Japan, especially if you're somewhere high up.
Folks, I'm going to have to fast forward a little bit.
Don't forget to walking paths along its banks and easy access to drinking and dining make it a popular year-round thing to do. The Meguro River is also one of Tokyo's premier cherry blossom viewing spots. There's over a kilometer of trees lining the paths on either side of the river in Nakameguro burst into bloom at the end of March and beginning of April.
It's amazing, it's downtown Tokyo.
When the sun goes down, the paper lanterns strung along the river come on during the Nakameguro Sakura Festival.
It's like DC, doesn't it?
Number 10. Nara. Nara was Japan's first permanent capital and full of historic treasures, including many UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Just wooden building in the world, and nothing prepares you for the immense site. Number 11. Tokyo. Tokyo is the capital of Japan, and by far the country's most visited city. There's truly something for everyone in Tokyo, from ancient temples and shrines, historic gardens and estates, to world-class shopping, nightlife, and cuisine. Its kabuki and sumo cultures are unrivaled. But Tokyo is most famous for its shopping districts and modern architecture, which are some of the best the world has to offer. Dialect. The city is best enjoyed in the evening. That's when it comes alive with neon lights and late night eateries. It's brimming with restaurants and shops, bright neon boards, including the iconic
beautiful places to visit in Japan, especially if you are a first-time visitor.
All right, I sort of sped through the letter part of it, but I wanted to show you both sides of it, the popular tourist areas as well as some of the little hidden away places. And Japan has a whole lot more of those little hidden away places. Unfortunately, I haven't been to any of them.
If you've never been there before,
I never went as a
here
tourist. Any questions or thoughts on what we just saw before I jump into something else? Anything in that last video that struck anybody in particular?
Well, the cherry blossoms were beautiful. I mean, the way they had it surrounded around that water, it was beautiful.
Yeah, that's really true, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
really true.
Featured a lot of nightlife and things for places where visitors could go, restaurants.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so much to see there. Well,
Yeah.
I wanted to bring us up to maybe a more current event. So I used to do disaster relief work, and one of my trips to Japan involved that. Can anybody think of what it was for? Anybody remember?
Volcano or the what's that? The tsunami? What's that?
Say it again? You're
Well,
close.
tsunami.
No, tsunami.
Tsunami, right?
Tsunami in the there. Two of
Do
them
y'all
were-
remember when that was?
2004.
Something happened recently, wasn't it? 2011, wasn't it?
Yeah, good guess. Good guess. Yeah. So we have our 9/11. Japan has something you could say is far worse than 9/11, and they call it their 3/11 because it happened on March 11th of 2011. So isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
From a numerological standpoint, 9/11, 2001, and then 3/11, 2011. I mean, the 11th day of the month is not a lucky day. So I wanted to share with you just a little thing here. So I was, in order to prep it for this presentation, I was trying to pull things up, and I want to show a little bit about what happened that day on 3/11. Google brought together a bunch of disaster relief people, and this is on YouTube, and they had something called the Google Big Tent. It was bringing people from all over the world to help in the relief effort. And I just found this out today. So the video of the highlights, look who's on the cover right there.
Yeah, that's you. I thought it was
Hey,
you.
hey.
Oh,
That's Lou. Yeah,
I
that's
just
Lou.
found that out today. I just
I
found
saw
that
that right.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was talking about technology, using technology in the disaster, but it was really, I don't know if you all can see this, but it was really a heartbreaking event. So we don't need to see this. Yeah, so I mean, it was, if we all remember it, it was really 3 mega disasters all in one. The largest earthquake Japan had ever experienced, and this country gets 1,500 earthquakes a year. And this is the largest one in its recorded history.
Yeah.
Followed by a tsunami that that breached every tsunami protective wall on the coast. Every single one was not prepared for something the size that hit. And then the third disaster. Anybody remember the third disaster within that day?
The nuclear power plant.
Right. Tom, I figured you know that one, Tom. Yes. Fukushima. It breached the it breached the wall at Fukushima, which caused the power to go down, which kept the reactors cool, and then those reactors melted down.
Yes.
And so the huge area around Fukushima to this very day is evacuated and empty and will be for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So it was really a very, very sad event. I have a couple of videos of the tsunami if you want to see them. It's really quite remarkable. And let me stop sharing this, and I'm gonna go to that one here. Just a moment.
Lou, didn't Pearl S. Buck write a story about the big wave, which was essentially the tsunami back in the 50s?
Back in when?
The 50s, Pearl S. Buck.
She may have. I mean, this one happened in 2011, so she didn't write about this one, but
no, but she wrote about the big wave that happened.
Maybe she had a premonition of it or something.
It really happened.
Across northern Japan. They
felt it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm going to share screens here again. I'm going off and on because I don't want to show the answers to the quiz. So here's a quick overview of what happened.
All across northern Japan, they felt it.
Everybody sees this?
A violent, magnitude 0 earthquake on March 11th, 2011.
I remember that.
It was centered about 80 miles offshore, and tsunami warnings went up immediately. In coastal cities, people knew what to do next: run to higher ground. It's from these vantage points on hills and in tall buildings that incredible footage was captured. In Kesanuma, people retreated to a high-rise rooftop and could only watch in horror as tsunami waves inundated their city, knocking buildings into rubble and mixing into a kind of tsunami soup filled with vehicles, building parts, and contents. Seawater cascaded over sea walls and into cities. This video shows the water rushing over an 18-foot seawall into Kamaishi City. The seawall here was the world's deepest and largest, but not enough for the magnitude of the March 11 disaster. It was the largest quake ever known in Japan, and one of the 5 largest recorded in the world. More than 28,000 people are confirmed dead or missing. When 2 tectonic plates push together under the sea, the resulting earthquake sends an enormous burst of energy up through the ocean, displacing enormous quantities of water. With the upward motion, a series of waves expands in all directions. In deep water, these waves travel fast, up to 500 miles an hour, but only reach a height of a few feet. A passing ship might not even notice. But as the waves enter shallow waters, friction with the ocean floor lowers the wave's speed, but raises their height. This video is from a Japan Coast Guard ship confronting a tsunami wave in shallow water on March 11. And a rare view from the air, video of a tsunami wave approaching the shoreline. In Japan, some tsunami waves reached as far as 3 miles inland. Japan may be the most seismologically studied country in the world, and with more than 1,200 high-precision GPS stations, a geophysicist at the University of Alaska used the data to create a visualization of the March 11 quake. The waves of displacement that you see were moving as fast as 5 miles per second. In this photo, the ripples of tsunami waves are seen moving upstream in the Naka River at Hitachi Naka City. New technology left an enormous amount of visual evidence for study in years to come, and can perhaps help us better understand the power of earthquakes and tsunamis and prevent loss of life in the future.
So yeah, so there's a tremendous amount of video information on YouTube and other sites. If you all want to see more, some of them are absolutely remarkable. I mean, the waves going up 100 feet, you know, high on cliffs, just insane videos. And so it was really quite a tragedy. All right. Well, gosh, I didn't mean to end on such a little bit of a low note here. Let me not do that. Let me not do that by sharing a couple more pictures. Here's this. So this is. I'm going to show you Sendai. Where we're doing that relief work. Just a second. So I'll just show you a couple of pictures. Ending a high note. Again, it's really a beautiful country. I still need to lose some weight, obviously. So there we are. This is Sendai. A lot of the little places have temples. They're all over the place. Like I said, the whole country is a Japanese garden. The whole country. This you know is not even mentioned in the any travel guide, but it's there. And it's all intermixed with nature. You see how they make it like a natural jungle. It's just so beautiful. And these are just all over the place. All these little temples, these little walkways, so beautifully intermixed. And they also take trees from the United States, from all over the world. So these are coastal redwood trees from California, you know, planted decades ago.
Okay.
So they're really into the outdoors. This is outside of Narita Airport. They have a big, that's the main airport in Tokyo. And they have a big, if you ever get to Tokyo, if you're ever in a layover going through Tokyo, they have a high-speed train that goes from the airport to this most incredible Buddha.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you been?
Bullet.
What's that?
I said, travel so fast, looked like a bullet when I was watching the documentary and they were showing that.
Yeah,
That train.
I mean, you're here in 5 minutes from the airport, and it's worth the visit. It's just drop dead gorgeous, and like everything else, it's all intermixed in a beautiful garden.
All across northern.
So we just saw that. So that's a little bit of that. All right. Well, we're at the top of the hour. Any comments on Japan? Any thoughts? Do you want, you know, all more excited about going or less excited? Already been there, kind of thinking. What are your thoughts about that?
This is Gracie, Lou. I always like to watch documentaries and stuff about Japan and Tokyo, because I love greenery. I love grass and trees, and it's a country that I think I would like to visit, just to be in the forest areas and yell and make noise.
Oh my!
Get an echo, you know.
You would so love it there. It's just so nice.
I bet I would. Yeah, I love trees and, you know, anything green. I just like that. Yeah.
Lou, you know what? When we had Dr. Mundy on here, one of the questions she asked us was which country had the greatest life expectancy, and it was Japan.
Japan.
It is, yes. Japan and China.
Yeah. They live a long time.
You know, the pace of life is really interesting there, because like, you know, in our country here, you know, where every business seems like it's understaffed, you know, and you just get worked so hard most of the time. But in Japan, which is sort of weird, I mean, the hotels have more staff than they needed. You know, just about everywhere else where you go it's so, even though they say it's so busy, you know, people don't seem quite as stressed out, at least on their job. At least they didn't, you know, when I was there. So I can understand that life expectancy thing, but also I think the way they connect with nature, you know, I was just mentioned on this call, there's a lot to that, folks. There's a lot to that.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting, Lou, though? They have the longest life expectancy, but they have one of the highest suicide rates in the world as well.
Yes.
Wow.
I wonder that. Why?
Pressure from the family. They put a lot of pressure, yes, from the family to be a certain kind of way. a certain
Oh,
kind of culture. And if you don't
I
adhere
bet
to
that's
that,
true. I'm sure you're right about that.
yeah, they should commit suicide in a minute.
we should put pressure
Yeah.
on our too.
See what you say, Harold?
I
Well,
like the pressure.
suicide was considered a noble thing to do at one
If
point.
you didn't adhere, yes, if you didn't adhere to
Yeah.
what
Yeah, it was called a seppuku, I think.
All right, folks. Well, great comments. So let's jump into the trivia. Here we go. First question. So same as always, the basic rules. Number one, it doesn't cover anything that we've seen. Okay, that's number one. I also embedded some videos that probably no way you're gonna know. So you got to get ready with your Google. Okay. And I'm going to do that more and more since we're a technology, organization. Okay, here we go. First question. First one to yell it out or chat it or whatever. What is the traditional Christmas Eve meal in Japan?
Fish.
Fish? No, good guess though,
Kentucky
Tom.
Fried Chicken. Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah. KFC. I knew that one too.
Who said that?
Yeah, someone said it. I think Miss Maria said it first.
Cassandra.
It was kind of a three-way-ish tie. I heard someone say it before you, Cassandra.
Yeah, I heard about three
Okay.
voices. Some had a light voice that said real fine voice and heavy voice and
But
So I don't know if any of you have visited the Colonel. I've been to the Colonel a couple times. What?
I've been more than a couple.
I used to make my dinner out there.
I think we all have. All right. Well, so who won that one, Alex?
I'm not sure. It was neck and neck.
Well, can one of you that's shouted out claim it?
Maybe hadn't won before.
Who was it?
What you mean claim it?
Oh, like if you were one of the ones that shouted out Kentucky Fried Chicken, you think you were first, just let us know. Who was that?
Alex say he heard somebody before me though.
If no one else speaks up, Cassandra, you can.
I said it.
Who's
well,
that?
That's what I said, that Miss Maria. So yes, I heard someone else say it, but it was yes.
Me too.
So Miss Maria, good
Somebody
job.
said KFC. Somebody said.
Would you like a necklace or a bracelet, Miss Maria? Would you like a necklace or a bracelet, Miss Maria?
Excuse me.
Ms. Maria,
would you like a necklace or a bracelet?
Oh,
Let's go with bracelet.
Yeah, I'll give her.
Thank you. Good job.
All
Laura.
right.
Thank you so much.
Next question. Next question. From the 12th century to the 19th century, who were the powerful warrior class in Japan?
Samurai.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Tom's a ringer.
Yeah.
I knew you were gonna get that.
Samurai, yeah.
I actually knew both of these answers already. So good job.
You knew Kentucky Fried Chicken, Alex?
Yes, that's one of the biggest fun facts about Japan. So
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
surprising myself. Good job, Mr. Thomas. Would you like a bracelet or a necklace?
Necklace.
All right. Thanks so much for participating. Good job.
Okay.
All right, next question. The kimono is a traditional Japanese garment worn by both men and women, a robe-like dress that is wrapped around the body. Forget the question mark.
Yeah.
What is the name of the belt that keeps the
Obi.
kimono secure?
The OB. OBI.
What?
OBI. The OB.
Oh, Tom's going for the sweep again.
Wow, Mr. Thomas.
Tom's going for the sweep.
Oh wow. I didn't know that one, Mr. Thomas. Good job.
How do you know that? How did you know that?
It's in every crossword puzzle book I have.
Oh.
Get it, Tom. Get it, man.
Oh well, Mr.
Go
Thomas,
ahead, Tom.
would you like your prize, or would you like to provide it to
I'll
somebody?
pass it on, please.
Okay, can you look
How about one of the people who are tied on the KFC?
That'd be fine.
All I know is Cassandra, so Cassandra, you got it, okay?
Very good.
Thank you. Would you like a necklace or a bracelet, Cassandra?
A bracelet.
All right. Thanks so much. And thank you for your kindness, Mr. Thomas.
Okay.
All right, Thomas is making me take my game up to a whole new level here. and we're gonna go there. You ready for this? I don't think even Thomas knows this next one. Here we go. The oldest company in the world is in Japan. What is its name and when was it founded?
Oh man.
Well, it's probably Sony. And
No.
no, really.
No.
Panasonic.
General Electric.
No.
No.
You need both parts, you guys.
Congo Jumu.
What?
Congo Gummi.
That's what I said.
And when was it founded?
578.
I think you got it, Brenda. You ready?
Go, Brenda.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
good job, Brenda.
No, it's cut
Thank
off.
you.
It's cut off. I can't
It
even
was
say
a
it.
rough one.
Congo Gumi, the oldest operating business in the world, established in 578. That's crazy.
Yes.
It specializes in
specializes in the
construction, temples, and
temples
shrines.
and shrines. Oh,
Yes,
So-
good job,
So
Brenda.
you know what that means, don't you all?
what?
That means 1,500 years from now, when somebody asks, what is the oldest senior training organization in the world? What's the answer going to be?
Wow.
It's gonna be
WowTech, right?
WowTech.
Oh,
No, I know what
good
that
job,
means.
Good job, Brenda. Thank you so much. Would you like a necklace or a bracelet?
I'm gonna donate to Me's Alamo.
Oh, thank you, Brenda. You're so sweet.
Thank
so
you.
much.
You're
Louise,
welcome.
would you like a necklace or a bracelet, Louise?
A bracelet.
Thank you for
Thank
letting me know. And
Brenda.
thank you so much for your
You're
kindness,
welcome.
I'm sick of Thomas and Brenda. I'm sick of y'all.
Was that the last question,
I'm
Lou?
sick of y'all. Nice
Is that
hat,
the
Lou.
last
I love
question,
that
Lou?
hat.
Oh, yeah, that's it, Alex. We're done.
Oh, well, thank
Gotta
you so
move
much
those fingers, Ron, real fast.
Let's all thank Lou for presenting such a great presentation
Lou,
today.
where you get
Yeah,
that hat?
thank you, Lou.
Thank you,
Very
Lou.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
Great job
My
as usual.
pleasure. Thank you for joining. I love doing this.
See
It
you
was
next
great.
week.
Learning
Make
like
sure you
this.
check out our daily email for next week's topic, but we'll be in Asia for the month of January. So hopefully you like it. And thanks so much for attending, everyone. And let's thank Lou for doing such a great job.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you, Lou.